Yeah, that's right.
They wanted to push communism. Shaw and Sidney Webber and the Fabians, they wanted to do it in a different way. They wanted to do it in a gradual way. They wanted to use gradualism, the same way that that Fabius had used it. They knew that they couldn't achieve what they wanted straight away. So they thought, well, the only way we can do it is to do it on a very, very slow, in a very, very slow way, and we'll use influence. We'll use our subtle influence. They knew how to write articles and so on. But incidentally, in the first few years of the Fabian Society, it's recorded that they were giving 700 public lectures a year.
Wow.
Now that's an awful lot of public lectures, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, and they would be giving those to trade unions and well, really anybody that would listen.
Yeah.
You see, so that was how that's how they got the thing going.
Yeah.
Now what actually the thing is, what actually motivated them? That's the interesting question. What motivated these guys to do it? You see, and well, not only guys, because there was ladies as well. There was Eleanor Marx, who was the daughter of Karl Marx.
Mm-hmm.
Incidentally, two of his other daughters committed suicide, the daughters of Marx. So they were obviously very unhappy.
Yes.
Anyway, there's other women. There was Emmeline Pankhurst, the famous suffragette.
Really?
She was in it. Yeah.
Yes?
Yeah. Annie Besant.
Yeah.
Annie Besant is the Theosophist.
Yeah.
Which is basically is occult. Is an occult belief.
Yeah.
It's
They had a lot of teachings from the East, didn't they?
Yeah.
From India and whatever.
Yeah, Annie Besant. She's
Religions from
famous.
there.
Yeah, Annie Besant actually promoted this man called Krishnamurti.
Yeah.
To be the new Messiah. You see, but that kind of fell through. But this is the occult side of it.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. These are the early ones. But then they realised that to make their progress, they had to work with the trade unions, which they did.
Does that link them in with the Labour Party?
Well, yeah, they're very close to the Labour Party, but I wouldn't say they were close to the rank and file of the ordinary working man, the ordinary rank and file of the Labour Party. I wouldn't say that at all.
But do we have them in government now? The Labour members in government?
Oh yeah, blimey!
So that's how they get their influence today.
We've got 200 members of Parliament who are members of the Fabian Society.
Wow!
And it's been like that pretty much down the line. I think in the time of the Attlee government, which was the government that came in after the war.
Yes.
When Churchill was kicked out in 1945, Attlee government came in.
Yes.
There were more than 200 Fabians in that Parliament as well.
Right. So modern day Fabians. I've seen a picture of Tony Blair against the Fabian logo, the famous window.
It's the Fabian window. It was designed by George Bernard Shaw, and it's actually got George Bernard Shaw himself and Sidney Webb, the co-founder of the Fabian Society, and they're hammering at a world which is on an anvil to change it. They've got a group of men and a group of women on the window, which are Fabian men and Fabian women. They're dressed up in 16th century clothes, by the way. I don't know why they did that, but they were. A fascinating part of the Fabian window is the shield, which is above the world, which is on the anvil. The shield shows you the Fabian wolf. It's the Fabian wolf in sheep's clothing. It's a black wolf, and he's got a white sheepskin on him.
Yeah.
You see, so that will show you how crafty they were, and they were actually having a joke with people. Shaw was when he commissioned that.
Oh, Shaw commissioned them.
Oh yeah, he commissioned that.
Yes,
Yeah.
Yes,
they've got other symbols as well, actually. There's one here, which is you can see it. This is on the Fabian Regional and Government thing, and it's nearly all these Fabian publications have got the Fabian tortoise.
Hold it up.
And what does it say on the tortoise, Fern?
When I strike hard.
And
That's on the logo.
Yeah, and if you go to New York, you can actually go to, there's a part of New York called Turtle Bay.
Oh.
which is where there was a Fabian colony around there. So in the park there's a little column, and it's got the Fabian tortoise on it.
Fabian society is not just in this country, then it's in America as well.
No, it's all over.
It's all over.
Yeah, I mean the Fabians, the Fabian who went out from England to more or less proselytise America for the Fabian cause was Graham Wallis.
Yes.
And he would have been the one that would have been in touch with people like John Dewey, the educationalist, who basically changed the whole American education system.
Yes.
To change it over to socialism.
If this sounds a little bit sweeping for the viewers, but we recently put out a DVD of a gentleman called Norman Dodd, and he was the chief investigator of the Reece Committee, and that was set up pre-80s. He died in the 80s, so it goes way, way back there. And he was investigating the tax-exempt foundations of America. And that really does involve us here. It's not an American thing only. It's more like charitable trust, we'd call them here, wouldn't we?
Well, yes, it's interesting you should say that, Fern, because the big Norman Dodd talks about the Ford Foundation.
Yeah.
He talks about the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace. What's the other one he talks about?
Rockefeller
the
Foundation.
Rockefeller.
Yeah,
the Rockefeller.
And it was the Carnegie Endowment for Peace, wasn't it, that actually admitted to him that that their agenda was to melt America into Soviet Russia, wasn't it?
Well, yeah. Who was it? Rowan Gaither, wasn't it? Rowan Gaither, I think.
That's right.
Rowan
Yes,
Gaither said that we're under presidential special order to so render America similar to Russia that America and Russia can be comfortably merged. It sounds absolutely bonkers. But it's true.
It's true. Yeah. He admitted it. And also we know that these foundations, especially the Carnegie Foundation, is funding education over here. And they're the ones that are putting a lot of the socialist and Marxist literature in the schools. You can see it now to this day. The Bournemouth, Southampton universities both have funding from the Carnegie Endowment Foundation in America. Rockefeller is concentrating on the American education, and Carnegie does the international. I mean, look it up, you'll find it. But R. Coones, Coones, and look for Norman Dodd on Google Video and watch it for yourself. It's going to join a lot of dots for you, and it goes way... These are the people that are funding and pushing this from behind, aren't they?
Well, yeah, it's fascinating you should say that, Fern, because if you go to the London School of Economics, they call it was expanding very fast 100 years ago or thereabouts. In fact, they used to call it the empire on which the concrete never sets, and so the London School of Economics was actually funded partly by Rockefeller.
Right.
So you get that. Yes. But you're talking about the Carnegie Endowment. But that's just to tell you a little bit about present day situation. One of the trustees of the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace is actually Lord Carr of Kinlochard. Now, he's just been to the Bilderberger meeting in Greece. He's a trustee of. He's a Rhodes trustee. He's a Carnegie Endowment for International Peace trustee, and he's also a Fulbright trustee. But we're not talking about him at the moment.
Yes, because the Rhodes scholars tie up again with something else. This is a huge big web we've got here, isn't it?
Yeah, we're talking about the Fabians.
Yes, so we go back to the Fabians, so we'll be here all night.
Yeah, talking about George Bernard. Let's go back to George Bernard Shaw first.
Yes.
In this book, The Brotherhood of Darkness, which is by Dr. Stanley Monteith, is an American gentleman. Now, in that book, he's got an important quotation from George Bernard Shaw. It's on page 48 of Brotherhood of Darkness, and Shaw says here, "I also made it quite clear that socialism means equality of income or nothing, and that under socialism you would not be allowed to be poor. You would be forcibly fed, clothed, lodged, taught and employed, whether you liked it or not. If it were discovered that you had not character and industry enough to be worth all this trouble, you might possibly be executed in a kindly manner. But whilst you were permitted to live, you would have to live well. As far as I know, I was the first socialist writer.
And remember, stay safe, sane, and sanitize.
Tensions rise as we enter the 213th week of lockdown.
A grim new reality emerges.
COVID-23 has mutated.
Beginning thermal scan. Thermal scan normal.
A horrifying new development
New
today.
data confirms the virus attacks the brain tissue.
Whoa! I'm immune! I'm immune!
Curfew is now in effect. All unauthorized citizens must stay indoors.
Worldwide death toll rises to over 110 million.
All infected Americans are being forced into quarantine camps.
Beginning thermal scan. 3, 2, 1. Anomaly detected. Armed guards will be arriving in 4 to 6 hours. You must not attempt to leave your home, or you will be shot on sight.
Department of Sanitation.
Sarah, talk to me.
I think my neighbor has a fever.
It'll be so much easier if you just open the door. This is my message to you. I know you're in there. Every little thing's gonna be alright.
He says, like those mysterious symptoms suffered by scores of U.S. diplomats and CIA officers beginning in Havana in 2016 and later in China.
We're learning more about what may have caused a mystery illness that struck American diplomats and CIA agents. Here's Andrea Mitchell.
Mark Palmeropoulos spent decades in the CIA chasing terrorists across the Middle East. But one night in a Moscow hotel in 2017 changed everything.
I couldn't stand up. I was falling over in my room. I thought I was going to vomit. I was incredibly nauseous. I had this incredible ringing in my ears. After a career really doing some crazy things in my life, this was the most terrifying moment of my life.
After a year-long investigation, the National Academies of Sciences concluded the most likely explanation: directed pulsed microwave energy.
Pulsed directed microwave radiation can be focused on a particular space or physical environment at the level of several yards or dozens of yards.
So one person could be in bed and have it targeting that person and not someone right next door.
Correct.
Russia has a long history of working on these weapons, but denies involvement. The State Department says the investigation is ongoing and each possible cause remains speculative. Not to Mark Palmeropoulos. And why would the Russians want to target you?
I was in charge, or one of several officers in charge of overseeing our efforts against them.
The crippling migraines forced him to retire last year at age 50. New cases like Mark's have hit other CIA officers around the world in the last 18 months. And the CIA has tracked Russian agents in the same cities at the same time, according to a source with direct knowledge, but no conclusive evidence. Lester.
All right, Andrea Mitchell tonight. Thanks.
Morning, everybody. Well, I'm just going to ask a few questions in the first instance. How's your mass deception going? Hope it's going okay. So we've got total lockdown, house arrest. Everybody's under house arrest now. Interesting, isn't it? In a so-called democracy, when everybody's under house arrest. Obviously, if you acquiesce to this and do as you're told, people that keep doing as they're told, unfortunately, this is going to get you dead. CO2 reduction is a mass murder policy. This is a scientific document, by the way. And I want people to have a look at this, all right? What it actually identifies, right? Extinction Rebellion, climate violence, funded by the world's richest people. Interesting, that one, isn't it? So the 30,000 fools, probably the same ones that's now self-isolating in their homes after watching the BBC narrative. I mean, couldn't make this stuff up. 30,000 that turn out in Bristol. What I'm going to tell you, a lot of them were Unison, NHS workers, all being given the day off, because obviously they needed quite a few there to support Greta's bullshit. That's all it is. We knew as early as 73, the World Health Organization knew as early as 73, that microwave radiation had biological effects and was a health hazard. All right. So 5G is that. We've still got it rolling out. This is, look, some of the science. They all knew about it. Nobody's mentioned the mainstream. So we have to get this shared because people just don't know the dangers that are being posed to them. Your Alexa will kill you. Your Wi-Fi is going to kill you in the home. It's an immune system suppressor. If they use a biological weapon, then obviously this is what's going to transpire. You're going to transpire pretty quickly. Expire, I should say. Long-term exposure to microwave radiation provokes cancer growth. We know that. We've already known that. We've known that for quite a number of years. I mean, this is a 2011 document. So where's all the mainstream media in this? Running, hiding and lying. But this is the bit I'm really interested in talking about today because I want to try and explain to you what the plan is, right? Microwaves to confine acoustic vibrations in viruses. Yes, they activate viruses, all right? They can activate viruses, but this is even more interesting. Your local doctors, your GP, should know about this because this was in the Lancet and that shows the microwave radiation increases and how this causes, look, chronic exposure being associated with increased in oxidative stress and DNA damage and cancer risk. Not only that, anxiety, depression, suicide, all linked to this, all right? So your local GP should know. Why do they not know? Or why are they not telling you who's pulling their chain? Who's actually pulling that chain? Even the industry. This is an industry document which states quite clearly electromagnetic radiation emitted out of wireless communication modules and various electronic devices have been identified by researchers biologically hazardous to humans as well as other living beings. It is an immune system suppressor. So if the virus is real, you'd think your government would want to be talking about the real risk to you, which is exposures to this type of radiation. Surely, you would think that, wouldn't you? And they're not mentioning it. The mainstream media aren't mentioned. In fact, nobody's mentioning 5G. Bizarre. Oh, the military. Well, the military know about microwave radiation weaponry, believers. In fact, if you want to, bioeffects of selected non-lethal weapons. They were talking about microwave radiation weapons, by the way, and they are lethal. The non-lethal bits, bit of interest in radio frequency, direct energy weapons. That's 5G, by the way, because it's a collimated, coherent light radiation signal. All right. Oh, let's have a look at this one. Because I like to do the whole science thing. You know, that's what we've got to do. You see, so EPA, the EPA knew about the biological effects, right? This is really early on. This was a 1984 report. You're still doing anything about it, do you? Being kept from you by the mainstream media. And this is what happens when you have a hacked media, criminals, reporters who aren't reporting on this. So, and obviously the fact that they're still not reporting on it shows that they're part of the criminal conspiracy to harm you. The largest 5G, the largest unethical medical experiment in human history, an illegal in breach of the Nuremberg Code crime, human rights crime. That's just a matter of fact. So any of the criminals who are involved with it, I'm going to tell you, justice is coming. We can see it. It's coming over the horizon. The really important thing, right? Get your injections. That's what they're trying to drive for. Now, this increases respiratory problems, all right? We know that. The science says that these influenza vaccines, right, cause significant breathing problems, all right? And obviously, you get that, it's going to kill you. Because if you mix it with this stuff, nano contamination, in vaccines. So there's been a research study carried out to show that all of the vaccines have got these micro nano contaminants in them, and they shouldn't be there. Shouldn't actually be there. They're not reported in there. So that's basically stating that it is inexplicable, right, why they've found significant amounts of nanoparticles in all vaccines. All vaccines. All right? Why is that? Is somebody trying to kill you? Because that's what it looks like to me. Adverse health effects, further industry information and science. What they're not doing is they're not linking this with the antiviral. You see, if I add aluminium nanoparticles and heavy metals, which have been found in that previous study in the antiviral, then this makes this 5G, in fact, significantly more dangerous to your health. Significantly more dangerous. But here's the really interesting bit. Killer heat in the United States. Microwave radiation in air, as a matter of fact, increases the temperature. So we've got a problem at killer heat in the United States in the cities, all right? It's basically about cities. These are from concerned scientists. Now, if these scientists are really concerned, then surely they would be looking at why we're building out these multi-billions pounds worth of technologies, transmitter systems that increase radiation in air. It's basic physics. So it increases the temperature. We saw that in Wuhan. The temperature increase causes a significant number of detrimental health effects. There you go. There's some of them. How heat? Microwave radiation we know causes cancer, but also causes heat increase in cityscapes. Because you've got billions more smart meters, Alexas, Wi-Fi systems. You know, we're not pulling the whole thing down. What's this 5G about? 5G, the 1 billion more transmitters, more powerful transmitters that emit radiation levels 100,000 times more than a 4G transmitter. I mean, I've got the technologies here. You can see the body of work that I carry out to show that this is a massive crime, right? All to support this CO2 mass murder. All to support mass murder on the people, a crime against humanity. Because that's what the LED lights are for, to reduce CO2. It's what the electric cars are for, they're all toxic. It's what the smart meters are for. This CO2 reduction mass murder policy has introduced technologies that will cause mass murder, as a matter of fact. So I want to show this to people. The science is absolutely damning. You must resist. Doing what you're told today will kill you. It's just as simple as that. Somebody wants you dead. I know why they want you dead, because you're worth more money to them dead than what you are alive. This technology is an immune system suppressor. Taking out CO2, very, very dangerous. Obviously, the plants need it so they can breathe out oxygen for you to live. And if you reduce it to such a degree. Now, this is corruption on a mass scale. You must resist. Resistance is your only route to survival. Doing as you're told, believers, will kill you. Unfortunately for the sheep, they're going to die, right? And what we need people to stand out from the pack and not die, all right, so that we can survive, the human race can survive this crime.
I also made it quite clear that socialism means equality of income or nothing, and that under socialism you would not be allowed to be poor. You would be forcibly fed, clothed, lodged, taught and employed, whether you liked it or not. If it were discovered that you had not character and industry enough to be worth all this trouble, you might possibly be executed in a kindly manner.
When I strike hard.